What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for quote-unquote breaking news. I was actually planning not to talk about it. If somebody watched the end of yesterday's live, go check that one out as well, because we talked about missing out on Osimhen potentially. Di Marcio spoke about Conceicao, and the news is very confusing to say the least, because apparently now, out of the blue, Conceicao is the number one target and Jadon Sancho is option B. And that after we have had 1,000 talks with his agents, with Jadon Sancho, with Man U, and positive talks and good feelings. Now the club is like, you know what, throw that all away. We're going to go for Conceicao again. So before we get into it, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let's discuss it. Okay, so Conceicao is the number one target, apparently, according to Di Marzo. Really quickly, before we really talk about Conceicao, from a club perspective, listen to what I say. I don't say I hope that the news is not true, like for Conceicao's sake. Like it's nothing to do with Conceicao. What I'm trying to say, I hope the club is not operating like this, where they have held positive talks with Jadon Sancho for the last 2 weeks. Nothing really with Conceicao, and it's like we want him, we want Jadon Sancho, and after 2 weeks of positive talks, you're like, nah, forget about it. Porto, you want 30 million for Conceicao? Let's throw 25 at you and we'll pay a little bit more upfront. Will you accept that? That is weird. That's very weird. That's very confusing and slightly worrying. And that has nothing to do with Jadon Sancho or with Conceicao, or the quality of the players, or whatever the abilities, whatever you want to call it, wages. That is more to do with planning. Like, what are you actually trying to do? Like, are you confused? Do you actually know what you want? Because if you want Jadon Sancho, you see it out with Jadon Sancho. You cannot go from one player you really want to go to the player you actually don't really want. Because if you're going to do that with every single target, and right now that's how it's going at this moment in time, you're going to end up with a mediocre squad, and a squad where the coach is like, you're not my number one choice. And if thing goes south a little bit, yeah, I'm not gonna back you, or like I'm not really gonna ride out for you. It is what it is, basically. That's the wrong basis. And I'm not saying that's the case with Conceicao, because I do believe the club likes Conceicao. I think Tudor has no issues with keeping Conceicao. Like, I don't think that is up for debate, in my opinion. But if you had 2 weeks of positive talks and good feelings and whatever with Man U and Jadon Sancho as well, to then switch it up completely and say, you know what, forget about it. We are going back to Conceicao and Jadon Sancho. Thanks for the nice talks, but we're not going to do that. That is a bit confusing. And right now, that's my feeling. I think it's all a bit confusing when it comes to the club, the transfers, the targets, the news, and maybe this is Di Marcio doing random stuff, and it could be because I think he's been all over the place when it comes to news. He's been late, he's been wide off the mark, so maybe this is a bad briefing, and maybe it's a bad leak, and maybe the club has held talks with Conceição to keep his options open, their options open, but from to go to Jadon Sancho is the number one target to Conceição was the number one target. After having positive talks with Jadon Sancho, something is not adding up. One, you guys, the media, were not telling the truth before, and Jadon Sancho was never really positive. It was never close. He was never the number one target, and it was always Conceição. Or the second one, you have no clue again what's going to happen. And this one, or the third option, the club is not even certain what they want to do. And right now, I'm gonna go with the club is not really certain what they want to do. If they are like, if they were just putting out feeders and having small talks here and there about players, then I'm like, okay, you're just seeing what is possible, you know, and what options there are out there. But if you go into depth talks, talk about wages, and it's positive, and every single source, it's not just one source saying there's a positive feeling, many sources are saying it. I mean, it's more than just like to just walk away from that deal. That's what I'm trying to say. Is odd. It's very weird. And right now, we can all agree that backline needs issues. But let's be real. Colomani is not our player. Conceição right now is not our player. Milik is just not a player. And Vlahovic's situation is what it is. We have nobody. We have Yildiz and Nico Gonzalez, basically. Really. who are at the club, and the club is actually looking to move on Nico Gonzalez. So we can talk about that the backline needs help, and it needs help. That front line is not fixed. And Jonathan David, I keep forgetting Jonathan David. But that front line is not fixed at all. Like, we do not own Conceicao and Colomani, and the player and the club is trying to get rid of Vlahovic and potentially Nico Gonzalez. So, despite us hammering on that backline, which I agree on, if you sit back, you're like, damn, that attack is not fixed. Like, it's a bit all over the place. And if you add the rumors to it as well, it makes it a bit worse. Like, it makes it even more all over the place. If you get what I'm trying to say. So it's a very odd situation. It's a very strange situation right now. So if you want to believe that news, fine, because I know a lot of people want Conceicao over Jadon Sancho. And this is not even a video of me saying I prefer Jadon Sancho, I prefer Conceicao, because right now I do not know what I prefer. I'm not the biggest Conceicao fan. I'm not. I think Jadon Sancho would suit us better. But if Jadon Sancho is asking 8 million, then no, I don't want Jadon Sancho at the club because he's not worth that transfer fee, that wages, So it's it's a bit different. And then on top of that, Di Marzio added that we're still trying to get Colomani on a loan. I mean, you can try, but I think PSG have been very clear and said we want the money. So I don't know, like, you're just haggling about a little bit, but when things are certain, they're certain. Like, maybe PSG will take a little bit money off the asking fee, but I think they're dead on. You're gonna need to pay, and it needs to be a permanent transfer. No loan with an option, maybe an obligation, but we need more money up front, whatever. But that's kind of the thing right now. Do you want to do it? Yes, no. If no, move on. If yes, speed it up a little bit because we still need a lot of work to be done. And yes, we need to move our players, and maybe it will kick off all it kick off. It will all kick off in the next couple of days. Who knows? But right now, the news is just all over the place. That we need to admit. And again, there's nothing to do with Conceicao. Has nothing to do with Jadon Sancho. Really, this is more about if that's actually how the club is looking at things, where it's like Jadon Sancho's number one target, positive talks, and then it's like, you know what? Let's switch it up, and we're gonna go now in for Conceicao again. Then yeah, it becomes a bit confusing and it becomes slightly worrying, and that's just my view on the situation. Anyways, in the comment section, you let me know what you think about it. Do you believe the story? Are you like, that's how it always should be? He should be the number one target, Conceicao, and it should never should have been Jadon Sancho. That can also be true. But yeah, let me know in the comments, and we will discuss it further in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's see what other news will pop up later today. Ciao.